Everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit YouTube, and we're back in the 3.5 Monster Manual. And the next entry is kind of a weird one. They're called the Nightshades, and there's a Nightcrawler, which is like a giant worm. There's a Nightwing, which is like a giant bat, and there's the Nightwalker, which is kind of like the iconic image. And this image is not the one that comes to mind. The one with the weird curly horns is the one that comes to mind. But if you started in 3rd edition, this is probably the one you saw first. So, I think this is from a Dragon magazine, actually, not even from the books. I can't remember before, but I remember this mob had curly horns. I have one that's actually size large that I painted because I wanted to paint one time. But we're going to make one, and it's going to be interesting. So the Nightwalker is 20 foot tall. He is size huge, which means he has a 3-inch base. He weighs 1,200 pounds or 12,000 pounds. Their daylight hurts them and kills them. They have a damage reduction of 15 over silver and magic. Dark vision 60 foot. They're immune to cold. They have spell resistance 29, telepathy 100 foot, and they have all the undead traits. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting is when you look at their abilities: strength 38, dex 14, intelligence 20, wisdom 20, charisma 18, intelligence 20. For an undead, that is super high. So this thing, even though it's an extraplanar undead and it's part shadow, part undead, I think the thing to think about when you're running this thing is going to be a creature that sets up your party. They don't just run in and maul, even though they definitely can. If you look at their attacks, they have a plus 24 slam that does 2d6 plus 16. Not overwhelming for something at a challenge rating 16. But they have crush item. And if you look at the description of crush item, a Nightwalker can destroy any item or weapon of large size or smaller, even magic ones, by picking it up and crushing it between its hands. The Nightwalker must make a successful disarm attempt to grab an item held by an opponent. It's a DC 34 fort save to resist the destruction. So that means non-magical weapons and stuff are just done. They're done. Even magical weapons, depending on their power rating and the bonus you get from that to your fort save for them. I mean, this is a dangerous guy. So some of his other special attacks are desecrating aura. That means like everything around him dies when he walks there. Evil gaze. Evil gaze is like a fear save, and they become paralyzed for 1d8 rounds. I don't do it like that, but it's just incredibly powerful enemy. It does have a ton of spell-like abilities, and these are strong too, like Contagion, Finger of Death, Hold Monster, Invisibility, Confusion, Greater Dispel Magic, Haste, See Invisibility, Unholy Blight. I mean, this is a really strong enemy for a CR16, and Epic Party could have an enormous amount of trouble fighting one of these. And again, it all comes down to how you run it, though. Do you run it by the stat block, or do you make it interesting? So this even has a round-by-round tactic breakdown, which most enemies do not, which I thought was interesting. Prior to combat, the Nightwalker keeps its See Invisibility power active most of the time. It uses Haste and Invisibility to prepare for battle. Move within 30 feet to make use of Gaze attack. Strike with Confusion or Hold Monster, coupled with a Quickened Unholy Blight. Hit a Spellcaster with a Finger of Death and another Quickened Unholy Blight. Move up to engage the enemy and attempt to disarm the enemy fighter. Crush the disarmed weapon, or use a Gaze attack if the disarm fails. Full attack against the unarmed foe or nearby spellcaster. The round-by-round fighting of this thing is so terrifying, because a lot of DMs, and I'm guilty of this too, we sometimes forget monsters have tactics too. We just have them run an attack, and whoever they see first they go after, and we kind of do that. And if you're doing that with wolves or something, that's fine. But when you come to intelligent creatures, you need to think about that. So let's get started crafting here. Where's my bookmark? Here it is. All right, so what I have here is, this is some kind of bad guy. I think it's called Final Faction. And if you want to see people do Final Faction conversions, Craft and Ron on Seawolf's Den is that guy. But I'm just using this guy for my Nightwalker, because Nightwalkers are 4 inches tall, and guess what? This dude's 4 inches tall. And he's got a good basic form we can use. But I do not like his legs the way they are. And his arms could use some work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these nubs off the top of his arms here right off the bat, because I don't like those. And I think we can kind of keep his arms intact otherwise, but I want them longer. So I'm just going to use this spot where there's a natural plug piece where you would like attach a weapon or something. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to extend his arms longer. And for these legs, I don't know how much I like these. So what I thought I'd do is I'd make my own legs. And to do that, this is really, really soft, crappy plastic. So what I want to do is just kind of steal the generic form of these. Let me see if I have a sturdier skeleton in my parts box. Because some of these are really soft and some of these are like a brittle plastic or a sturdier plastic. And if I have an older one that's from last year in parts, it would be better. No, I don't think I do. Okay. All right, no problem. Worst case scenario, if it's too soft, we can use toothpicks. We need a fret. Let me look at my box here. Oh, hello, box. Looking for skeleton parts. Oh, hello there. You're steady. You're a steady boy, aren't you? All right, this one's from last year. It's sturdier. So we can take his legs and start working on how we're going to do this. Now, 4 inches is what we need, so we're going to have to make some adjustments. The first adjustment I would make is to kind of bend this into the shape you want it. And then, because, yeah, something like this will work. What we want to do is we want to just get a little glue here to kind of stabilize the changes we made. And you don't want to use too much because it won't dry quick enough to get you going. So get a little bit on the inside, a little bit on the outside. Then hold it in place how you want it. Then I'm going to do the same thing here with the foot. I'm going to bend it up. I'm just going to get a little glue to support that change I made. Shaking. I should have ate before I came down. All right, so we can set that to the side for now, and let's work on this one. Oh, hell, too far. Okay, well, that happens. Mistakes are made. We just fix them, right? And they don't have to be perfect, but we want them to be kind of ballpark the same, okay? We want them to be approximately at the same angles. So when we set him up, he can be interesting. All right, so the arm extensions are going to come in the form of something similar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off, and these just kind of, on mine, snap. If you have to cut yours, you can cut them. And I don't like these hands. These will have to be snipped. Okay, no problem. Oh, so the bend of his arm is right there, and I don't want his arms to be exactly how they're designed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glue and put a dab of that here. And just roughly fit that in place. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just get it kind of roughly in place how I want it. And I'm going to let that sit for a second. I'm going to get some super glue and some baking soda and start strengthening up some of these joints. But I'm not going to do the legs yet because we might have to adjust those when we get them on the base. And talking about a base, this is size huge, so it's on a 3-inch base, right? So what I've done to fix the 3-inch base drama is I've just made my own 3-inch base since I don't have any. You see me going into the crack here because I don't want that to be open on mine. Okay. So I'm going to use glue to fill that in. And you'll see how I do that just with a couple phases here. And then eventually it'll fill it in. Okay. That's filled in now. Let's do this side. Let's get a good coat on here. Make sure his arm's sturdy, and it also kind of helps fill in some of those gaps too, which is nice. I got a little glue down in my stuff here. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Oh, I was getting super glue. Or hot glue. I want super glue here. So I'm just going to get super glue and sprinkle it in that hole. Get it that way. Get it that way. All right, something like that. I think is going to work nice. So these arms, we are going to fix those to where they're in place, but we're not going to do that until we get him on the base and see how we want those. His butt here, that's sticking out like a weird alien. We don't want that. So I'm going to snip that off. And we'll come back in and fill that in with something else. Okay. I don't want squares on him. All right. So we're starting to get where we want. Let's work on his arms some more. So let's take those long hands we had, and we're going to get a dab of glue and mount that to that. We're going to do the same thing. Get a little bit of super glue and run it up and down. Okay. That's going to be sturdy. Good. Dab of glue. Yabba dabba glue. Get his hand. And then I want this one to be in kind of a little bit different of a posture. So I'm just going to twist it a little bit. You got to be careful because you don't have too much room to play with that. So I just want to twist it a tiny bit so it's not super ridiculous and noticeable. And then once I get that in place, I made a little bit of a glob there. So I'm just going to rub that glob. And then there's a dot there I want to fill in real quick. Okay. You do yours how you want, though. This is your model, not mine. You know, I do mine, you do yours. And see what you can come up with. If anything, I'm just here to give you some plans and ideas that might work for you. I'm not here to teach you how to do everything. There are a bunch of YouTube channels of crafters that are far better than I, that are probably more qualified for such sweet things. I am okay with where his head is, but I am not okay with how it turns, and I'm not okay with this giant gap under his chin. So for me, I'm just going to get a dab of glue and then rub it around in there a little bit to kind of hold things a little bit while I'm working and fill that gap in some. And then I'm just going to get some super glue, spill it down in there like that. Now his head should not move. There we go. All right, let's go back to his legs and look at how those could attach. So this one's got to go on this side, like that. So let's get some glue and kind of just get it in place how it could sit. I don't want mine to be perfectly nice. So I'm going to let it sit at kind of an angle outward for a second and hold. I want mine to be standing kind of like this. Come on, you. Do what I want. Get back in the spot. All right. So to hold this in place until we get to the next part, I'm just going to get a little glue there on each of those parts. Let it run down in. And then kind of get an idea of how he stands. All right, cool. Let's get our base, which I've set over here. It should be mostly dry at this point. Yeah, it looks pretty close. This is just a base. What this is a piece of plastic, like if you have one of these. I cut the bottom off of that, and I glued it to a cutout from a piece of a game board from one of the mini board games I've purchased that just for the miniatures in it. And I've glued those together, and I've run some glue around the edge, and I made some texture with baking soda, and I've glued some rocks to it. And this is not a spectacular feat. This is just something that I threw together quickly to make this miniature. This is not like a professionally crafted deal. So what I want to do is I want to find out how he's going to sit on this base. And I'm going to get some glue. Okay. And I'm going to just get a dab of hot glue under here to kind of get him where I want him for now. Okay. I'm going to hold that down and hope it sticks. It's not. No problem. Let's get some baking soda and glue, and we'll do one side at a time. Get some baking soda here. Let it run underneath his foot and a little bit on top. We'll just sprinkle it there and let it sit for a moment, and that'll start to hold him in place and make him sturdy. Now I know on that side wouldn't stick. I have a rock right there, and that's not a problem. Okay, we'll just get that how it goes. We'll sprinkle a little bit of baking soda in there. Then we're going to knock this baking soda into the cup, because we don't want a giant pile there. We're going to do the inside of his feet now. And a little more on the outside, just to make him good and sturdy. So on the inside, we're just going to sprinkle that in there, like that. All right, let's get to work. There's a rock in my stuff here. We're going to take that out. All right. Now we need to thicken up his legs some. So let's move his arms up out of our way. Okay. And let's get glue. And we'll start at the top of his legs. And we're just he's gonna get sturdier and sturdier as we go with this, by the way. All right, look at that. He's starting to get real sturdy. All right, so this is where we want to start filling in his butt with the hot glue. And that hole, and that hole. And then just drag that around a little bit, because we're going to be adding some of this, as texture, we're going to be adding some of this stuff, this baking soda situation. So let's get some glue on his back. And then let's get some glue on his butt, and then we'll come back and add more hot glue to kind of fill that shape in. But this forces that glue that's in there to kind of stay where it's at, and it creates a barrier where we have something sturdy to work on. So for his butt, I'm not trying to do a butt crack or anything too fancy. I'm just trying to drag that up and give it a little bit of shape. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to drag it up onto his back and let it go. I'm going to drop a little baking soda on that right off the bat. And then I'm going to cover it with glue. I'm going to drag that glue into a couple of little lines. And we're going to get a real solid bond. It's going to be like a rock. Alright, so we do have some spider webs, so let's use some magic here real quick. This is the Minor Burning Hand spell. And if you're a child watching this, even though I didn't make these videos for children, and I do specify that I found out there are kids watching. So just if you don't have access to this kind of magic, your parents do. Or they can find you an alternative to this kind of magic. This is my magic. You're not stuck using the same magics as me. So these are bigger than the arm ones. So I'm just going to get a dab of glue and run it in that crack to fill that in, because it's pretty big. I'm going to do that in front and the back. And I'm not worrying about perfection here. Then we're going to come back with the glue. Coat this in super glue on both sides. I'm just doing one leg at a time. And we're creating a lot more spider webs in the process. Okay. Oops, big mess. There we go. I'm going to get this and clean off my area here because I'm getting a lot of spider webs, or a lot of dust. Pardon me, I burped a little bit. All right, so we have some we're going to get my minor burning hand spell out again. We're going to take care of those spider webs. And let's look at the arms. How can the arms be any more terrifying than that? I'm not sure. So I think the simple solution here is to start making a barrier of glue and baking soda in these cracks to fill those cracks up. Okay. Arms are stable now. Start working our way around the bottom of those arms and those cracks. And I'm getting some on this little squared off spot because I don't like it. All right, so there are some seams that are still kind of visible and noticeable. I'm going to get in there and just retouch those up a little better. All right, he's looking pretty sturdy and pretty good. There are some things I don't like, and I do want to add some horns to him because I think that image with the horns is just better for me. But what I want to do is I don't like the way how flat that is still a little bit, so I'm just going to get on those two little bumps back there, add some baking soda, and then I'm going to come around and let it soak up into it like this. And that's going to make some hard bumps. If you see a little bit of smoke coming off here, if you add a bunch of baking soda to a bunch of super glue really fast and you're not slow, the reaction releases heat. So it's not hurting anything, and it's going to be okay. And my fan is sucking that, I'm not even smelling it. Now there's a glue lump here on his chest that I don't like. I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to get a little. I don't want this much of that original detail there, so I'm just coming here with super glue. Am I out? I doubt that's empty already. I just opened that last video. Okay, I'm out. No problem. I got more. I had to stop at the store. I think I'm really maybe out or close to out at this point. And I'm just going to get in here. I'm going to add some of this texture. Okay, for horns, too easy. I do want to thicken those legs up one more time, actually, now that I'm looking at it. All right, I'm pretty convinced that he's sturdy at this point. I'm liking the way he kind of organically has turned into something that we can work with. I'm gonna get a little bit of tinfoil though, and I'm gonna twist him some crazy horns. I don't know how big I want to make these, so we might just, twist them and see what I have and then cut off what we don't need. And I don't want these to be symmetrical or perfect either. This is a creature of nightmare. I probably should have turned his head at a little bit of a weird angle too, actually. But I did not. So I'm kind of happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off this part here so I have a good flat spot to mount that. And I'm just going to make that rounded a little again so it's not flush and flat. I'm going to get a little bit of that. I'm going to mount it to the side of his head. And I'm going to push it right down there against that ear and then drag it up some. And then, because I don't want that much glue there, of that kind of glue, because I don't want to take his ear away, I'm just going to clean that up real fast, just like that. And I'm going to get glue, a little bit of that, super glue. Baking soda. Wrong glue. This glue here. A little bit of baking soda. Boop. Okay. Now I'm going to drag this up onto here just a little bit and create a very sturdy kind of deal. And to make sure that that doesn't go all over the place and drops and add too much thickness in one spot, I'm just going to spread it real quick with that. And we're not getting the entire horn, so some of that twisted texture should remain when you're done if you did it the way I did it. So yeah, some of the twisted texture is there, but I will warn you right off the bat, tin foil does not take, aluminum foil does not take paint well. So make sure you got, you know what I mean, not a lot of that showing. All right, that's one horn. Let's get a piece of tin foil and make another one. Okay. And again, I'm not going for symmetrical here. So mine are not going to be the same. Yours can be if you want them to be, but I want mine to be different. So I made mine different by making them different sizes. And I'm going to have them oriented in a similar manner. I'm just going to have them different sizes, okay? Sweet. I'm having them come out of his head at slightly different spots. This one's a little further forward and down, and that's okay. You capture yours the way you want to capture it, though. I understand that we have different preferences. But I really wanted to make this a fun mini for me that I would enjoy. Some of the minis, I'll never use them because I have like an official mini of it already, or something that I've done in the past where I had resources that made it perfect, and that's why I did it. But you have to understand, now it's a lot different for me because I'm not doing stuff because I have the right resources to do it, and I often don't make it to the store. I just use what I have on hand to make what we're making here on the channel. It's not me having an inspiration and making something. It's we are going through the monster manual, and that just takes some thought, and it takes some planning, and it takes some making stuff work. So, you know, I don't make a special trip except for to buy glue. I don't, you know, I'm not out. I am always on the hunt for parts. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am everywhere I go. I'm like, oh, okay, a garage sale. Let me see if they have plastic toys or something. Don't get me wrong. I do that. But I'm not hunting for a specific of what we're building. I'm making out of what I have available in almost every case. The exception to that would be the White Dragon, where I stopped and bought a dinosaur and wings and a bat. All right, so this is what I got for my Nightwalker so far, and I think I'm pretty happy with him where he is. I don't think I need to make any major adjustments. So, do me a favor, we're at 30 minutes almost. If you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Those things are all helpful to the channel. If you could, comment, because I like that, and I think it helps, but I don't know how much that really helps, but I do like it. I like the comments. It's fun to interact with people and say things. Don't say awkward stuff that's hard to respond to, because then I'm like, I feel like I have to respond or give it a like because you took the time to do it, but then I'm like, oh, this is awkward, and I don't want that. We don't want that. Check out the website and the Discord. They're both linked in the description. The website, we sell awesome miniatures, dungeonswag.com. I'm one half of the guys. There's two of us that run it. We run it out of our basements. We're regular dudes like everyone else. We're not like regular dudettes because we're dudes, but we're like regular people. Buy some shit from us. We're not big business. Check out our Discord. Hang out with us. Craft with us. Paint with us. Play RPGs with us. And play video games with us. That'd be sweet. All right. Thanks for watching.